Hey guys, welcome to HBS Orientation. In this video, I will show you how to use D2L, which tabs you'll need to use, how to navigate through there, and answer all your questions about lecture materials, lab materials, exams, and all that kind of stuff. So here we got a few tabs up at the front here. So if you just go to Materials, go to Content, you probably will never need to ever use any of these other tabs here. So the only thing over on Materials side is when you scroll down is go to Content, and you'll find on the left hand side a bunch of tabs here. And you click on the first one here, Course Information. You got your syllabus. Please read through the syllabus completely. Most of your questions will be answered just by reading this. And then, of course, you have your, I've provided a couple of documents here for you. Over the past 10 years, students have come to me after, first exam, second exam, how can I do better? How can I improve? So I've collected these questions over the years and actually compiled them and made answers for them and provided them for all students. So this is actually really good for you. So here it is right here, key questions for academic success in the biological sciences. And also I've made a one HBS study strategy out of many different study strategies. This one actually, what worked for me in school, I actually provide for you here. I made a document here. So that could be useful too. All right, so here are your 4 units. These are for lecture. 1, 2, 3, 4 units for lecture. 1, 2, 3, 4 units for lab. So if we go to Unit 1 here, you'll find these first 3 are your PowerPoint presentations. These are your handouts. Your questions, your lecture exam questions come directly from these 3. No questions will come outside of these 3 handouts. Everything that you need to know for Unit 1 will come from these 3. Now, I've also made videos for you. Now, the thing is with these videos is that there might be a little bit more in these videos than what you need to know, because these videos also work for Human Anatomy and Physiology 1 and 2. So although these are more geared for anatomy and physiology, they will definitely still help big time for you guys. So how do I use it then if there's information here, more information that I need to know? Well, what you do is you have these handouts out in front of you and you follow along as you're watching the video. So, of course, it'll never hurt to learn more or, hear more than you actually need, because you will eventually need to know all this stuff anyway once you're in nursing or whatever program you're in. You'll still have to know it. But for our purposes, I have these here for you, these 3 handouts. That way you know exactly what you have. Now you notice that there's only 2 videos here. There's 3 chapters here, but there's only 2 videos. I am still making them, and so I hope to get more videos in for you. If not, then not. If I don't get to them, I don't get to them. But these are these are key. Another thing that I provide for you is a study guide. So all the questions that I add, the topics that I ask are actually listed. I actually have them listed here for you. And let me show you that to you in a second here, just before I forget. I will not be grading or awarding points for any assignments over the summer. However, I kept them here for you. That way you can do them if you have time to. They are helpful. But if you don't get to them, no problem. You won't be docked any points because I won't be awarding any points for them. Okay, so now more on this study guide here. So if we go to, let's say here's Unit 1 study guide, we see here, okay, we got body organization, we got the cells and tissues here, and we have the skin and body membranes, or the integumentary system. So if you notice the questions, a lot of the questions they're kind of open-ended, but these cover everything that we need to know. So as you're going through the handout and as you're going through the video, you can see kind of exactly, okay, does the video mention the 6 levels of organization? Where can I find, where does it mention the 6 levels of organization in the handout? And that's how you can use that's how you can kind of study. You might find a little extra things here and there in the handout, and so how do I know what to skip or what not to skip? Well, first of all, it'll never hurt just to study it. However, if it doesn't mention it in the study guide, then you can actually ignore it. So the study guide is the most complete, the most concise tool for you. Now, one thing I would be careful with is I wouldn't just ignore the videos and ignore the handouts and then just come here, look up the question number 1, answer it, and then move on. The danger with that is that you might miss all kinds of stuff because now you're only looking up one answer to an entire to an entire topic, for example. So what you should do instead is read through the handouts slide by slide by slide, and then once you're done with that section, you can go back and see if you can answer the question without having to, search for working backwards. So you can kind of use this as a range, the study guide as a range, and you got your handouts and you have your YouTube videos as well. If you want to go, I can actually just show you. You can just search my name, Marcus Gabrawi. You can click right on this, this tab here, and you can find all the videos. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different for you here, but you can find all kinds of lecture and lab videos for your course. For example, here's layers of the skin, tissues. They're right here, urinary, and so on, muscles, bones, and so on. So, that's how you can use YouTube. Now let's kind of go back to D2L here, and we'll kind of keep going. So again, you have your handouts. Go through the handouts. You can kind of use these simultaneously along with your study guide. That way, use it as a range. Okay, there's a few more slides. There's a little bit more in the YouTube videos. How do I know if I'm going overboard or not? Well, then you have your study guide as well. I will never go outside of the study guide. I will never ask you anything outside of the study guide. So that's how you'd use this as well. All right, and then again, you can. I won't be assigning any points, awarding any points for the assignments. So that's how you'd use D2L here as far as the units. You can go to Unit 2. Again, here looks like we have 1, 2, 3 chapters. There's only a couple of videos. And I will try to get to making more videos. If I don't get to them, I don't get to them over the summer. We do move quickly, but that's okay. This still does provide you everything. And again, you got your study guide for you. For lab, if you go to Unit 1, for example, again, I actually have a terminology list for you. So even though you might let me just take you to here's Lab 1, and you have some objectives here. You have an introduction, and you have the exercise. So identify the following parts of the microscope. here you have the eyepiece, nose piece, and a little explanation, objectives, what is the 4x, the 10x, the 40x, and so on. And here's a diagram, so then you can just label, okay, here's the eyepiece here. Here's the nose piece. It's actually this silver wheel right here that will rotate your objectives, your 4 objectives right here. And you got the stage. Here's the stage right here. And your mechanical stage control knobs are these 2 here. This is what slides the stage back and forth, and your clips left and right to move your image around, to move your specimen around, your little slide. And that's these guys right here. And then you have your coarse adjustment right here, and your fine adjustment is this little wheel. The arrows are off by a little bit. And then your light source right here. Here's how you can dim, and then you have your neck right here, this might the eyepiece might also objective piece or eyepiece. So how do you use this? Well, you put a slide in, you drop your stage all the way down, using the coarse adjustment here. You drop it all the way down. You put your slide in, make sure that it's sitting flat on the stage, not on top of your clips. Clip it. Use the clips to clip it in, and then you put your the nose here to bring your objective into position, into the red position. So this, you'll turn it so that way this is facing down. That way light will go up through the diaphragm here, up through the lens, and up into the red objective, and up and through. And that's what you'd see. You focus it in, you use your mechanical stage control knobs to get the specimen to illuminate, and if it's off by so much, you'll never see anything. Once you see that your specimen is lighting up, you could just eyeball it. Then you just stop there, and then you use your coarse to slowly bring up the stage until it comes into focus. Now that's coarse. That's your coarse adjustment. Now once you've used that, then you use your fine adjustment to get an even sharper image. Well, how do I know if I'm supposed to turn the wheel to the right or to the left? Well, you don't really know because you don't know what side of the image you're on. So you just kind of play with it back and forth, and until you get a sharp image, and that's kind of how you use it. Then you can still use these mechanical stage control knobs to move it forward, backward, front, back, left, right, to see the entire specimen. Once you've used the red as much as you need, then you can actually zoom in again. So then you switch it from the 4x, the red is 4x, to the next, and then this is the 10x, and it'll zoom in a little bit. You do not touch the coarse knob because you'll have to start all over. You'll mess it up. But you can use the fine to get it even more. You might need to use the fine to get it back into focus a little bit. And that's how you use it. And you can use it switch it one more time into the 40x. How do I know what's the total magnification? Well, all you got to do is just multiply the objective number times always by 10. 10 times 4, 10 times 40, 10 times 10. And that's how you can calculate total magnification. The eyepiece is 10x. So you always multiply your objective by your eyepiece. Okay, so that's a little bit of lab, but this is the first exercise for lab. So I guess my question is, well, what do I really have to know in here? Well, then I've actually provided for you a terminology list, and I'll do this for all 4 units. And so here's what you have to know. And So this is kind of like your study guide, like what would be for a lecture. This is your kind of like your study guide for for um, for lab. So I'm gonna pause this for a second because I gotta clear my throat. 1 second, guys. So what exactly? I mean, what exactly do I have to know in here? Well, you just all you gotta do is you go to your terminology list that I provided for you, and you can see, oh yeah, here. So identify the following tissues and features and accessories under the microscope. So, all right, so you'll have a diagram or something like that on your lab practical, and then you'll have to be able to point out eyepiece. What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this pointing to on the microscope? Oh, that's your coarse adjustment knob. This is your fine adjustment knob, and so on. And and you notice it kind of stops here, and then suddenly we had kind of switched gears here. Okay, so these are your tissues. This is for the next lab. You'll have to know, you'll have to be able to recognize simple squamous epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium, and so this will be then the lab number 2. So these are the answers to the questions that we'll be asking on your lab practical. We'll ask you, name this tissue, and you'll have to say simple columnar epithelium or pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. This is how you'd write it out. And these are crazy words. I totally agree. So just make sure that you again watch the lab video and keep this close to you, because this is your list. Here we only give you 13 or 14 tissues. There's a lot more tissues than what you need to know. So make sure you have this close to you, and so that you understand. Okay, this is what simple squamous looks like. This is what simple cuboidal looks like. Here's how I spell it out. And then you just go to my YouTube video, and I actually walk you through step by step on how to identify it. So you go to wherever, here it is. What's that tissue called? You just click here and actually take you exactly step by step. What are the
No, these guys don't look.
what's the name of the tissue? What does simple mean? What does squamous mean? What does epithelium mean? And that kind of thing. For lab, you'll only need to know how to identify. For lab, you'll only have to know how to identify this tissue. For lecture, I may ask you what's the location of it or the function of it. So for lab, we'll just pull up this slide here, and we'll just ask you, name this tissue. For lab, it's always, what is it called? What is it called? What is it called? For lab, it's always, for lab, it's always the anatomy. For lecture, it's the physiology. Like, where would you find this? Oh, this would be found in the lungs, for example. Or what is the function of easy gas exchange? You see? So that's so that's how you'd use the YouTube video for lab, and actually this video works. This particular one happens to work for both lab and lecture. So all right, what else could we talk about? We also have um, communications. So if you go to announcement, something that you guys are going to want to use is, if you go to more actions, you go here and you go to notifications, you can actually set your D2L page to you check these boxes off to tell it, okay, when there is a new announcement, I want to get an email. When there is content, a new content created, I want to get an email, rather than having to constantly click on D2L and to check to see if there's any changes or anything like that. When I make an announcement, it will pop up on the home page of your D2L, but also you might want to get an email as well every time I make an announcement. So you want to have you'll want to use this to adjust your to kind of customize your push notifications. All right, and for assessments, you can check your grades here. Here's where you'll go and you check your exams. And that's pretty much um, all for D2L that I can think of. Um, your lecture exams and your lab exams may be some kind of combination of D2L style, where you'll just come here and there might be a little bit of maybe some Zoom as well, and I'll eventually make those announcements or decisions as we kind of go along, um, or or maybe even a little bit of take home for you, take home exams. All right, that is all I can kind of think of right now. That's all I can kind of think of right now. I hope this helps a little bit. And yeah, make sure to pick up your lab manual. I do have a few first few labs to provide for you, and I'll post those right now for you on D2L, just in case you haven't got them yet. But yeah, all right, guys. That's all I can think of, I guess, for the moment. Any other questions? Of course, email me. But the syllabus is also key to answering a lot of your questions. All right, thank you guys very much, and study well.